Let me start by saying something that might hurt a little, but if you are serious about business, you need to hear this. If your business is not making sales, if customers are not buying, if leads are ghosting you, and if every sale feels like a struggle, the problem is not your sales skills. It is not that people don't have money, and it is definitely not that the market is dead. The real problem, the one almost nobody wants to accept, is that your offer is weak. And until you fix your offer, no strategy, no ad, and no sales script will save your business. Most business owners wake up every day thinking, I need more sales. They think the solution is better closing techniques, more follow-ups, more discounts, or hiring a better salesperson. But this way of thinking is completely backwards. Sales is not about convincing people. Sales is not about forcing someone to buy. Sales is simply the act of transferring belief. And belief does not come from talking more. It comes from having an offer that makes sense in the customer's mind. When your offer is strong, sales feel natural. When your offer is weak, sales feel desperate. Here's a harsh truth most gurus won't tell you. If you need to beg, chase, or pressure people to buy, your offer is broken. Truly good offers do not need explanation. They don't need long justifications. They don't need discounts to survive. A good offer makes the customer feel stupid for saying no. And if your business is struggling, it's not because people are bad buyers. It's because you're presenting something that doesn't feel valuable enough compared to the money, time, or effort they have to give up. Think about your own life for a moment. Have you ever bought something instantly without overthinking? No long comparison, no asking friends, no hesitation, just a clear yes? That was not because you were emotionally weak. It was because the offer was so clear and so aligned with what you wanted that your brain didn't resist. That is how buying is supposed to feel. And if your customers are not feeling that way, the issue is not them, it's the way your offer is constructed. The biggest lie in business is that sales fix bad offers. In reality, sales only amplify what already exists. A good salesperson with a bad offer might close 1 or 2 deals, but they will burn out fast. A mediocre salesperson with a great offer can outperform almost anyone. This is why some businesses explode even with average marketing, while others fail despite running ads, posting content, and following every growth hack online. The difference is not effort. The difference is the offer. Another mistake people make is assuming that price is the main reason customers don't buy. This is lazy thinking. Price is rarely the real objection. Confusion is, uncertainty is, lack of perceived value is. If price was the problem, luxury brands would not exist. If price was the problem, people wouldn't spend thousands on phones, watches, or courses. People always have money for what they believe is worth it. Your job as a business owner is not to lower prices, it's to raise perceived value. When someone says, I need to think about it, what they're really saying is, I don't see enough value yet. When someone says, I'll get back to you, what they mean is, this doesn't feel like a priority. And when someone says, it's too expensive, what they're actually saying is, I don't trust that this will deliver the result I want. None of these are sales problems. These are offer problems. Here's the uncomfortable question you need to ask yourself. If you were your own customer, would you buy your offer instantly? Not because you know the back end, not because you're emotionally attached, but as a stranger seeing it for the first time. Would it feel clear? Would it feel exciting? Would it feel safe? Or would you hesitate, compare, and scroll away? That answer tells you everything about why your sales look the way they do right now. The market today is not short on products, it is short on clarity. People are overwhelmed, they are tired of promises, they don't want more information, they want certainty. And certainty comes from offers that are simple, specific, and outcome-focused. If your offer sounds like everyone else's, it will be treated like everyone else's. And average offers get average results no matter how hard you work. So before you change your ad copy, before you rewrite your sales script, before you blame algorithms or competitors, pause and look at your offer. Because once your offer is right, selling stops feeling like fighting. It starts feeling like helping. And that is the moment when business finally becomes predictable. What an offer really is, and why most businesses get it wrong. Now that you understand that sales problems are almost always offer problems, we need to go one level deeper. Because even when people accept this idea, they still make a critical mistake. They think an offer is just the product or the price. They believe that if they tweak the price a little, add a discount, or change a package name, the problem will be solved. This shallow understanding is exactly why so many businesses stay stuck at the same revenue level for years. They are working on their offer, but they are not actually changing what matters. An offer is not what you sell. An offer is what the customer believes they are getting. This difference is subtle, but it changes everything. You might be selling a service, a course, software, coaching, or a physical product, but your customer is not buying that thing. They are buying a future version of themselves. They are buying a result. They are buying relief from pain, progress toward a desire, or protection from a fear. If your offer does not clearly connect to that internal motivation, it will always feel weak, no matter how good the product actually is. Every buying decision is a comparison. On one side of the scale is everything the customer has to give up: money, time, energy, focus, and risk. On the other side of the scale is everything they believe they will gain: results, speed, ease, confidence, and certainty. If the gain does not clearly outweigh the sacrifice in their mind, they will not buy. This has nothing to do with logic. It is emotional math. And most businesses fail because they never learn how their customers do this math. One of the biggest reasons offers fail is because they are built from the seller's perspective, not the buyer's. Business owners think in features. Customers think in outcomes. You might be proud of how advanced your system is, how many modules your course has, or how much experience you bring, but the customer is asking a different question entirely. Will this work for me? If your offer does not answer that question quickly and clearly, the brain defaults to no, because uncertainty feels unsafe. Another critical mistake is being vague. Many businesses believe being general will attract more people, but the opposite is true. When your offer tries to help everyone, it ends up feeling relevant to no one. Specific offers feel valuable because they signal expertise and confidence. The more clearly you define who the offer is for and what exact problem it solves, the safer it feels to buy. Clarity reduces fear, and fear is the real enemy of sales. Let's talk about trust, because trust is not built by talking more. Trust is built by removing doubt. Your offer should anticipate skepticism and answer it before the customer even asks. If your customer has to imagine how this might work, they won't. People don't buy potential, they buy certainty. This is why vague promises fail and concrete outcomes win. Saying grow your business is weak. Saying help you close your first 10 clients in 60 days feels real, measurable, and believable. Most people also underestimate how much risk affects buying behavior. Even if the offer sounds good, the fear of wasting money or failing can stop a sale instantly. That is why strong offers don't just promise upside, they reduce downside. Guarantees, trials, clear processes, and transparency all signal safety. The more risk you absorb as the seller, the easier it becomes for the buyer to say yes. Weak offers push risk onto the customer. Strong offers pull it back onto the business. Another reason businesses struggle is because they copy surface-level offers from competitors without understanding why those offers work. They mimic pricing, bonuses, or packaging, but ignore positioning. A great offer is not about stacking random features. It is about alignment. Alignment between the problem, the promise, and the proof. If any of these are missing, the offer collapses under pressure. And pressure is exactly what happens when real money is involved. You also need to understand that an offer is not static. Markets change. Customer awareness changes. Expectations evolve. What worked last year might feel weak today, not because it stopped working, but because people have seen it before. This is why businesses that survive long-term are constantly refining how they present value. They are not obsessed with selling harder. They are obsessed with making the offer clearer, stronger, and safer. Here is the simplest test of whether your offer is good or not. When you explain it to someone for the first time, do they immediately understand who it is for, what it does, and why it matters? Or do they look confused, ask unrelated questions, or say, "That sounds interesting," without commitment? Confusion is not neutral. Confusion kills sales. Every second of uncertainty pushes the customer closer to doing nothing, which is always the easiest choice. By now, you should see why sales tactics alone cannot fix this. You cannot talk your way out of a bad offer. You cannot pressure someone into clarity. The foundation has to be right first. Once it is, selling stops feeling like persuasion and starts feeling like alignment. In the next section, we'll break down the internal mechanics of a great offer, the exact elements that make people feel confident, excited, and ready to buy without resistance, the value equation, and the psychology behind buying. At this point, you already know had an offer is not a product and not a price. It is a perception. And that perception is created inside the customer's mind long before any money is exchanged. To build an offer that actually converts, you need to understand how the human brain decides to buy. Because buying is not a rational process first. It is an emotional process that is justified with logic afterward. When you design your offer around this reality instead of fighting it, everything changes. Every buying decision can be broken down into 4 invisible factors that operate together in the background of the mind. These factors decide whether someone feels excited or hesitant, confident or doubtful, ready to act or ready to delay. The first factor is the size of the result they believe they will get. The bigger and more meaningful the outcome feels, the more attractive the offer becomes. People don't want small improvements, they want transformation. They want a noticeable difference between where they are now and where they could be after buying, but the size of the result alone is not enough. The second factor is how fast they believe that result will happen. Humans are impatient by nature. The longer the timeline feels, the more uncertainty creeps in. Long timelines increase doubt, and doubt kills action. This is why offers that promise vague results someday struggle, while offers that define a clear, reasonable time frame feel more real. Speed is not about rushing results. It is about reducing mental distance between action and reward. The third factor is effort. Even if the result is big and the timeline is short, people hesitate if they believe the process will be painful, confusing, or exhausting. Most customers are already tired. They are overloaded with information and responsibilities. So when an offer feels complicated, it triggers resistance. On the other hand, when an offer feels simple, guided, and supported, it lowers the mental barrier to entry. Ease is not laziness. Ease is safety. The brain is wired to avoid struggle unless the reward is absolutely certain. The fourth and most underestimated factor is risk. Risk includes fear of wasting money, fear of failing, fear of being judged, and fear of making the wrong decision. Even when everything else looks good, risk can silently stop a purchase. This is why strong offers actively reduce risk instead of ignoring it. They do not pretend fear doesn't exist. They neutralize it. The lower the perceived risk, the higher the conversion. When you combine these four factors, you get what can be called the value equation. Value increases when the perceived result is high, the time to get that result is short, the effort required feels manageable, and the risk is low. Most businesses fail because they only focus on one part of this equation, usually the result, and ignore the rest. They shout about benefits but stay silent on process, support, and safety. That silence is interpreted as danger by the buyer's brain. Now let's talk about why discounts often make things worse instead of better. When you lower your price without increasing clarity or reducing risk, you accidentally send the wrong signal. Instead of feeling like a great deal, the offer feels suspicious. The customer wonders what is missing, what will go wrong, or why it's cheap. Price cuts without value expansion reduce trust. This is why premium offers often convert better than cheap ones. They signal confidence, structure, and seriousness. Another psychological trigger that most people ignore is identity. People don't just buy results. They buy stories about themselves. They buy things that reinforce who they believe they are or who they want to become. A strong offer speaks directly to this identity shift. It shows the customer not just what they will achieve, but who they will be after achieving it. When an offer aligns with identity, it stops feeling like a transaction and starts feeling like a decision about the future. Social proof plays a role here too, but not in the way most people use it. Random testimonials are weak. Relevant proof is powerful. When customers see people like them getting results they want, doubt decreases. The brain uses familiarity as a shortcut for safety. This is why specificity in proof matters more than quantity. One clear, relatable success story can outperform dozens of generic reviews. Another critical element is certainty of process. People don't need to know everything, but they need to believe there is a clear path. When your offer outlines what happens next, what support exists, and what milestones to expect, it removes ambiguity. Ambiguity feels risky. Structure feels safe. This is why well-structured offers convert better even if the end result is the same. It's also important to understand that doing nothing is always the customer's default choice. Buying requires energy. Your offer must make action feel easier than inaction. If staying stuck feels safer than trying your solution, the sale is lost. Strong offers make the cost of inaction visible without using fear tactics. They help the customer realize that not acting also has a price. By now, you should see that great offers are engineered, not guessed. They are built by understanding psychology, not by copying competitors. When you design an offer that maximizes perceived value and minimizes perceived sacrifice, sales stop being unpredictable. They become consistent. In the final section, we'll bring everything together and show you how to apply this thinking to your own business step by step so you can rebuild your offer into something people feel confident saying yes to, how to rebuild your offer and make sales a side effect. Now that you understand how offers actually work and why sales struggles are almost never about selling, the final step is application. Knowledge without implementation is just entertainment. If you finish this video and go back to doing the same thing, nothing changes. But if you rebuild your offer, Using the principles we've covered, your business can look completely different without increasing traffic, spending more on ads, or working longer hours. The first thing you need to do is stop thinking like a seller and start thinking like a customer. Forget your product for a moment. Forget your effort, your time, and how hard you work to create it. The customer does not care. They care about one thing, whether his solves their problem in a way that feels safe, clear, and worth it. Write down the single biggest problem your customer wants solved right now. Not someday, not theoretically, but urgently. That problem becomes the center of your offer. Next, define the exact result your customer wants to experience. Not a vague improvement, not a general benefit, but a clear outcome they can imagine. The clearer the picture, the stronger the desire. When people can visualize success, belief increases. When belief increases, resistance drops. This is why strong offers feel obvious. They describe the future so clearly that the brain accepts it as possible. Once the result is clear, you must address time. How long does it realistically take to get there? Be honest. Overpromising destroys trust, but being too vague creates doubt. A clear, reasonable time frame gives structure to hope. It turns an abstract promise into a plan. People don't need miracles. They need progress they can believe in. After that, simplify the path. Ask yourself where customers usually get stuck, confused, or overwhelmed. Then remove friction. This might mean clearer steps, better onboarding, more guidance, or better support. Remember, people are not avoiding effort. They are avoiding uncertainty. When the process feels guided, effort becomes manageable. Then comes risk reduction. This is where many businesses hesitate because it requires confidence. But confidence is exactly what your customer is looking for. Guarantees, trials, transparency, and clear expectations all signal that you stand behind your offer. When you absorb risk, you earn trust. And trust is more valuable than any discount you could ever offer. Now look at objections. Every customer has them. Pretending they don't exist is a mistake. List the top reasons someone might hesitate to buy your offer. Then build solutions into the offer itself. This could be through bonuses, added support, clearer explanations, or proof. Objections left unanswered grow louder. Objections addressed early lose power. At this stage, many people realize something uncomfortable. Their offer was never really finished. It was incomplete. It relied on hope instead of clarity, on persuasion instead of structure. This realization is not failure, it is growth. Most successful businesses went through multiple offer iterations before finding what worked. The difference is that they adjusted the foundation, not the surface. One of the most powerful shifts you can make is moving from selling features to selling decisions. Your offer should help the customer feel confident choosing you, not because you are cheaper, but because you are clearer. Not because you talk more, but because you reduce confusion. When your offer does this, the sales conversation changes completely. Instead of convincing, you are confirming. You will notice something interesting when your offer is right. Leads ask better questions. Sales cycles get shorter. Follow-ups decrease. Rejection feels less personal. This is not luck. This is alignment. You are finally matching what people want with something that feels safe to buy. Here is the final test. If someone hears your offer and understands it in seconds, feels excited but not pressured, and believes that saying, yes, is the logical next step, you are on the right track. If they hesitate, confuse, or delay, the offer still needs work. Do not take this as criticism. Take it as data. Remember, the market is not broken. People are buying every day. The only question is whether they are buying from you, and that decision is made not by your effort, but by your offer. When your offer is strong, sales are no longer something you chase. They become something that happens naturally as a result of value, clarity, and trust. If you want your business to grow, stop asking how to sell more and start asking how to build better offers. Because once the offer is right, selling stops feeling like a struggle and starts feeling like a side effect of doing business correctly.